Hi, I'm back with another video under my new name, Uptight Curls. I wish I could take credit for the name. I'm uptight, I've got type 4 hair. The name should have written itself, but it didn't, my husband did. Nosy Nick, as I so affectionately call him, discovered that I was creating a YouTube channel and he wanted to help, so he offered the name. And I gotta give him credit, it's a great name, it's completely on brand, so I'm going with it. So anyway, I am here today to bring you 19 tips for transitioning from relaxed to natural hair. So let's get started. Tip number 1 is the infamous no heat. But let me just qualify that because I know in the beginning when I was watching videos, I was really confused when people just said no heat. Because if you don't use heat, how are you gonna marry the two textures and how are you gonna walk around looking half decent? So to that, I would just say you can either modify your relaxed hair with braid outs, twist outs to match your kickier roots, or you can just not marry the textures at all. The way that I got through my transition for the most part was accessories. So headbands, hats, caps. And let me just show you. So when I say headbands, I have a lot of headbands. Most of these are not silk, but I still, actually, let me see if I have my Grace Alea headband, silk line headband. I would put this on first and then I would put on one of these because as you can see, these are not satin and I only put satin on my hair. So I have tons of headbands, I have tons of scarves, I have even more in here and I have more tucked away somewhere else. So let me get this out of my way. Slap caps, these are the silk line caps. The one drawback I would say with these, and it's really not a big deal, is that when you put them on, and I can't do it because actually I can. When you put it on, let me put this one on because the tag is coming off of the other one. So this is the hat, but as you can see, like the front part doesn't not actually have any satin on it, but sometimes I would just kind of, go like this, but that makes it, it kind of ruins the look, so I didn't really do it that often. But I wore hats, and then these two, and these were a little bit of a splurge. I have these, I don't know if you could see it, you could see a little bit, these satin lined caps. I have 2 of them. So you just experiment with that. You can wear buns, ponytails, and if you wear a bun or a ponytail, you can just put on a headband and that pretty much smooths back your edges, and all of a sudden your textures are matched. Another couple of things that I would recommend, or I would suggest rather, is you could experiment with heatless blowouts. I would recommend that you start doing that in the beginning of your transition so you're not scrambling later on in your process when it's more of a big deal when you're trying to style your hair when half of it is kinky or coily or whatever and the rest of it is relaxed. Something else that I started doing, and this was probably around month 6 or 7, was I purchased a RevAir reverse hair dryer, RevAir. There's a lot of reviews on them on YouTube. I don't think I'm gonna do one because I think there's enough out of there and it's kind of died down at this point. But you can stretch with just tension and no heat. And also I'll insert a picture up here of a heatless blowout that I was trying, and that was just after washing your hair, just putting ponytail holders at the roots and then just doing like a braid or a twist to keep your hair stretched. The only thing with those is that they take a long time because a heatless blowout, you're not using any heat, so it's gonna take a while to dry. So I would just say experiment. So buns, ponytails, headbands, scarves, hats, caps, whatever you can do. And again, I would reiterate, do this in the beginning. Number 2, and I realize this won't suit everyone's taste, but I recommend relatively early on in the process getting a haircut. And my reason for that is if you have 14 inches of hair, you're gonna wanna wait until you have 6, 7, 8 inches of growth until you're comfortable doing the big chop. If you're starting from 10 inches of growth, maybe it's 4 or 5, but those extra 2 inches, given that your hair grows between, on average, 1/4 and 1/2 inch a month, that's like a minimum of 4 months or so, which is a legitimate amount of time. So if you start getting used to having shorter hair by doing the haircut and you're used to a certain length, you can do the big chop sooner. And the sooner you do it, the less you're gonna have to cut. And in my experience, I did see that, because the longer you have your relaxed hair hanging on to your kinky hair, the more it's going to damage your ends, and you're going to have to cut more when you do the big chop, which is why I had to go back and big chop again. So yeah, I would recommend getting a haircut. It gets you used to having shorter hair, because in the beginning you are going to have shorter hair when you cut off your relaxed hair. So with longer hair, yeah, just to reiterate, it'll take much less time for your new growth to become a voting member on your head and, force you to go ahead and do that big chop. Number 3, and I already touched on this, is styling accessories and hairstyles. So one of the things that got me through my transition was braided styles. So that could be, a crown braid. And once you crown braid, that's a way of stretching your roots and making them lie a little bit flatter. your edges, and allowing them to lie a little bit flatter. So just doing a crown braid and then like a twist out in the back, or whatever you want to do in the back. You could even just put it in, a loose bun or a ponytail. That works. Or you could do 2 boxer braids going back. All of the styles that you want to do, you want them to be somewhat protective. So I like to have my hair tucked away. So yeah, I would just say experiment. Go on Pinterest, even YouTube, and just find hairstyles. You can do little cute, Dutch braids or French braids going back this way, and then have the rest of the bun, or you could have one going back and then a bun, and then you can do an upside down bun in the back. There's a lot of options, but having your hair tucked away, but also still looking cute, makes the process a lot easier to stomach. Number 5 is investing in a pair of shears early on in the process. If you're anything like me, the urge to trim your hair, cut your hair, is going to grow, as you get more and more excited about transitioning to your natural hair. So there was a time, probably like 3-4 months in a row, where I was just trimming it every single wash day. My hair was out. Why not trim some of it? Because managing the 2 textures when you're washing your hair is so incredibly difficult that it's easier on you when you trim your hair. My wash days have gotten to like 8 hours. This is with me doing things in between and all that, but like it took me an entire day. Now it takes me like start to finish 2.5 hours, because it's so much easier. And that's start to finish, including like 30 minutes deep conditioning with heat, and then like another 30 minutes or even an hour doing something else. Like it's hands-on. It doesn't take me that long anymore. As whereas before, the tangles, oh my God, the tangles between having the kinky roots, which, at some point became more than just the roots, just like the kinky section of your hair and then the straight section. Like there were just times when I was just getting clumps of hair every time. They would just come out, like the relaxed ends would just come out in the shower, and then they're damaging, the ends of my natural hair. And it's just, invest in a pair of shears. And with these shears, you are not opening mail, you are not cutting paper, you are not clipping your nails, you are cutting your hair. These shears need to be sharp, because you don't want to cause any damage when you cut your hair. So invest in a pair of good shears. Let me see the ones that I got. They came in a nice case. I got them from Amazon, and I think they were about, I want to say $25 or $30. Where are my actual shears? Oh, they are in here. So it came with these 2 clips and the shears. They've served me well. I did my big chop with them, and I know my big chop didn't go very well, but again, you're not supposed to big chop in 30 minutes when you need to rush out the door. But my big chop didn't go badly because I used the wrong shears. It was more because I don't know how to cut hair. Recommendation number 6 is to build your regimen around your natural hair, because that is the hair you plan on keeping. The products that you would use for natural hair, in my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not going to mess up your relaxed hair. Relaxed hair is a lot easier to deal with. So I know some people use like one product on their natural hair and then another product on their relaxed hair. I don't think that's necessary, just because you are getting rid of your relaxed hair. So you need to pamper it because you want to stay on your head. You don't really want split ends because you don't want it rising up the shaft. But purchase your products based on your natural hair and start experimenting with those. So by the time you big chop your hair, you know what kind of products your hair likes. Tip number 7 is learn how to put on makeup. I have not mastered this, but I only started wearing makeup when I started transitioning, because you are going to have bad days. There are days when just like your puffy edges and your just unruly hair that you're not used to having because you're used to having relaxed hair, it's going to be hard to look at. But putting some makeup on your face will detract away from, kinky edges or whatever it is that you think is making you look less than your best. So slap on a headband, put on a cap, put on whatever you need to put on, do up your face, and you'll feel better about yourself. I know this sounds really superficial, but I mean, in the end, people want to look nice. So I would just say another thing is headband style, like a Dutch braid or a flat twist just across the front that lays your edges by design without putting a stress on them. And then you put a cap on the back of that and put on some makeup, and voila, you look amazing. Number 8 is a little bit more philosophical, but I would say bad days are going to happen. You have to power through, and you need to be excited. If there's a day where you're just feeling like you want to relax your hair, that you just can't take it anymore, watch a YouTube video. Find someone that's your hair goals and watch them, because they didn't relax their hair in the middle of their journey. They pushed through it, and that's how they got to those goals. Tip number 9 is diet and exercise. And I don't mean diet like diet to lose weight, but I just mean make sure that you're eating healthy. Make sure you're getting your leafy greens, your fruit, and that you're exercising, because that's just good for your overall well-being. Make sure you're getting your healthy fats, and that's the avocado and the whole milk yogurt. And, I even take collagen peptides in the morning. Those are supposed to help with your hair, skin, and nails, because I think once you reach like your 30s or so, maybe you're in your late 20s, your natural production of collagen starts to decrease. So that's why collagen peptides are kind of like a buzzword right at this point, but they're supposed to restock the collagen that you're losing, and that again will help with your hair, skin, and nails. And I have found I don't take care of them, but my nails grow incredibly fast now, and my hair is in a healthy state. And I do think that if anything, the collagen peptides that I've been taking have been helping. But outside of that, I write down each day that I need to eat 5 vegetables on a whiteboard, and I write down the fruit or vegetable that I eat throughout the day. So at the end of the day, I can know, did I eat 5? You give yourself a goal. My goal is 5. I make sure that I had 5. I write it down. I'm accountable for it. And I think most people will say, hair growth starts from within because it's coming from inside your scalp. So you want to make sure that your body, your mind, and your health are all in a good place. Tip number 10 is prepare your significant other or your family if that's necessary. People can go on and on about embracing their natural selves, and people have to love you for who you are, but in the end, people are somewhat superficial. When your significant other met you, you might have had long, relaxed hair. Now you're going to have short, natural hair for a while you're growing it out. It is reasonable for someone to, I don't want to say take issue with it, because I would hope that they wouldn't, but you should at least prepare your significant other. You should show him pictures of what your goal is. Explain to him the process, how long it's going to take, why you want to do it. I think having that conversation is very important. I did have that with my husband, and he has been supportive of me. I mean, I know that I did it because I was pregnant and I didn't want to get relaxers anymore. And even if that wasn't the reason, I would have had a conversation with him, because when he met me, I looked a certain way. I don't look like that anymore. I mean, I did wait until I trapped him with 2 kids, but, talk to your significant other. Tip number 12 is, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, is regimen building and getting used to deep conditioning once a week, because natural hair obviously has more trouble retaining moisture. So you want to make sure that you have a moisture-rich routine going on, and you should start building that from when you are transitioning, because you want to be able to hit the ground running by the time you're natural. I do really appreciate that I spent pretty much a year coming up with my regimen, because now that I'm 100% natural, instead of having to start from the beginning now and build my regimen and learn my hair and all that, I've already been doing that for a year. Tip number 14 is don't try to hair type. You'll hear this from all of the YouTubers that are going through these tips for transitioning, that hair typing isn't all that important. And I would say when you're transitioning, hair typing is not all that important. I was very curious, and I still am very curious as to what my hair type is going to be. I know that I'm type 4 right now, or at least I would say that, but I'm not going to have any good indication until my hair is a little bit longer. So the thing that is important to know is your porosity. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is actually a question that I have. If your hair is completely virgin, isn't it by definition low porosity? I don't know. Let me know. But you do want to know your porosity, because you need to know, like, if you have low porosity, you want to deep condition with heat. You want to apply your leave-in conditioner in the shower. You want to steam with your deep conditioner, when you can. I mean, the things are different. even when you're purchasing products. I know that some products have lines for high porosity and some for low porosity. So that's something that's important to know. Density may be helpful to know. I think that's more when you are fully natural. I mean, I didn't really do much with density at the time, and I don't think you're going to know your density in that time, at that point. I think you have to wait until you're kind of big chopped at that point. So I would just say learn your porosity. Everything else will come with time. Your curl pattern is the least of your worries when you're transitioning. You just want to make sure that your hair is healthy. Number 15, embrace the change. I think that's important to say because it is a huge change. You want to make sure that you're taking lots of pictures, that you are, keeping your goals in mind, and that you are really happy with what you're doing. If you're not happy to transition and you don't want to put in the time to get to know your hair and to take the time that it's going to require, which is going to be hours out of your days at time, just to nurture your hair, if you're not prepared to do that mentally, then unless there's some kind of medical reason or you've been burned too many times with relaxers, then perhaps you're not ready for transitioning. Because it's going to be a lot of time. If you want to have hair goals, you're going to have to put in the work. So if you're not in it, then I would say go back to relaxing. And then if you want to try it again at a later time when you want to put in the time. Number 16, and this is, I would say take it or leave it, but I would say document the change. I have tons of pictures from when I was transitioning, which I'm able to call on right now. Since I'm doing a post about this, I'm very glad that I have all my pictures. And also, it's nice to look at, just like when when your kids are born and you want to have tons of pictures of them as a baby, you want to have tons of pictures of you while you're going through this process, because it's kind of like you look back and be like, oh, I've come so far. So I would say that it's documenting for me it makes it more fun. So if that's something that suits your personality, then I say go ahead and do it. Number 17, I would say download an app. If you are that kind of person, I am the kind of person that likes to track everything. So I have a hair tracking app. Let me just show you. Hair journal. So I document all of these things in my app. And if you go to my diary, all of those little pencil marks are my wash days. And I wrote down what products I used, how I reacted to them, and just pretty much my thoughts. It allows you to enter a lot of data. I would just say, I'm not going to waste time here talking about it, but it allows you to track a lot of data. It has like areas for measurements and all of that kind of stuff. It's a good thing if you're that kind of person. I don't measure because it's just way too difficult, especially when you're transitioning, and then it's like you have different lengths all over your head. So are you going to take like 14 measurements every month? No. So if you're that kind of person that likes to document things, you like to track things, and you like to organize and all of that, download an app. Number 18, plan for your hair. And I say that like the same way that you would pack a diaper bag if you're taking your baby out somewhere. If you are taking your hair out somewhere, pack for your hair. Case in point, I'm going to insert a picture. When I gave birth to my daughter, I had a slap cap on. Slap cap is the satin lined cap. I wore a satin cap the entire time I was in labor, while I was delivering, and then post-delivery. I think at some point I actually obviously I bought a satin pillowcase, obviously, but I also wore a hat, and I just wore like a crown braid, and I came home and my hair was protected. I also, as I was leading up to my delivery date, I thought a lot about what kind of style I was going to put in my hair, like what was going to be the easiest. What if I go into labor while I'm in the middle of wash day? Then what do I do? Luckily, that didn't happen. But I would wash my hair and then wear a style for a week, and that's what I do now. But I just made sure that I had in something that it was going to be fine if I had to keep it in for another couple of days. So nothing that was going to get particularly frizzy or anything. But since I wasn't really going to work, I was able to just keep a hat on, and I just had I had a crown braid. Actually, it wasn't a crown braid. It was two braids, just like this out, and then a hat. You'll see the picture. So I go into labor, I have satin. If I go for a massage, I bring a satin scarf so I could wrap my hair in it. I think putting the satin pillowcase or a satin scarf on the massage table, I don't think that's the best idea, because that does a little bit interfere with the process, and they might not want you bringing your own stuff. But if you have something wrapped around your head like a headband, they're not going to take that off, and your hair is protected. Car ride. If you're going to be in a long car ride and you want to put your head up against the back of the seat, just drape a satin scarf over it. It's so easy. Number 19 might be a cheat, probably could have been part of 18, but travel with a scarf. What I was doing for a while was like, if I was wearing a high puff like this, I would just simply take a scarf, fold it up, and tie it around my bun. Just like that. And I would wear it like that, like this. If it's like spring or summer, that's a look. And not because I necessarily needed to hold my hair in a scarf, but because if I go somewhere and I need a satin scarf, I've got one attached. So that is number 19 or 18. I'm sorry if I got messed up with the numbering. Those are all of my tips for transitioning. I hope at least one of those was helpful for you, or at least entertaining to hear if you've already transitioned. I would be happy to give more. I came up with these 18 or 19 very, very quickly, so I have more to offer. I plan for my next video to be tools that I used for both transitioning and now that I'm natural, like what are my like ride or die tools. So I will be coming to you. Sorry, I just got a text on my iPad, so I was just looking to see that. I plan for that to be my next video. This is obviously a new channel. I am still working on everything, but if you have any recommendations or anything that you particularly like or particularly dislike about my channel, and when you say dislike, not necessarily about my personality because that I cannot change, but if you have any constructive feedback, then I would very much appreciate it, and thank you for watching.